What's up, party people? Terminator Juice here, and it's Wednesday, and I'm not at work because Arctic storm. For the first time in 20 years that I've been at work, they canceled work due to weather. I've had one other time where the weather was bad, and they just told people that live too far just to stay home. But yeah, we had last night was like wind chills and -23 at one point, and snow drifts, whiteouts. So work's been canceled, and as awesome as that is, like a snow day in school, that just means more work tomorrow or Friday. They said potentially if the weather keeps going, it'll be off tomorrow as well. So I really don't want that though, because it'd be too much to catch up on. But anyway, so I thought I would do a Juice Opinions to pass some time, and I brought this topic up on the Juices Loose podcast, and it didn't really take off, and because too many difference of opinions, I think. So I wanted to flesh out my thoughts on some of the missing third party games on the Switch, and it's been a ongoing situation since basically the GameCube and our N64 really started it. So it's not a new thing. And if you could find, it was Real Gamer 27 back in like 2013 or early 2014. He made a video. It's the first video I ever seen of his about unhappy with his Wii U because the third party games had basically dried up and they weren't coming anymore. And I was like, I wanted to slap him. I'm like, you buy a Nintendo system for Nintendo games. Who cares? You never get third party games. You never get the big third party titles. But at the same time, in the first year, the Wii U got a lot of the major, Call of Duties, Assassin's Creeds, Batman's. Unlike the Switch, the Wii U got, parity because the system, the 360 and the PS3 were the only systems out, and the Wii U could easily do the graphic, could compete graphically. So it wasn't as big of a deal. But I remember him making that video and saying Nintendo had all these third-party companies on stage, and they promised, third-party support. And he bought the system thinking it was the only system he was going to need, is going to have his Nintendo games and all the third-party games. And I thought, obviously you don't know Nintendo well if you thought that, but lots have changed since then. 2019 now, so it's been at least 5 years since he made that video, and I was, like I said, I wanted to slap him for it because I thought it was so stupid. But at the same time, because I was a multi-console owner, so I'm like, I just play them on those systems. But I kind of had a awakening, if you will, a revelation, if you will, recently, and I just wanted to talk about it. Like I said, brought it up on the Juice Loose podcast, and it didn't really take off. So the Switch, I just want to start off saying I know I've accepted what the Switch is power-wise, what it can do. I'm still impressed that games like Doom run on the system in portable mode. I understand, the sacrifices that got to be made, and the money spent to port a game of a different architecture, not a system with a different architecture. But Doom looks great in portable mode, and it's impressive. So I am impressed with what the Switch can do, and we have gotten some current gen games like Wolfenstein 2, and with Mortal Kombat 11 announced, and Doom Eternal announced for the Switch. There's definitely some major third-party games coming to the Switch. So that's good. I'm happy for that. But I'm a multi-console owner, so when those games come, if I'm interested in them, then I have to decide, just like right now with a game I'm going to talk about a little bit, I had to decide which system I wanted to buy it for. So, this is mostly for like if you're a Switch only gamer, all you have is a Nintendo Switch, then honestly, I really feel for you. Like, I feel bad for you, and you might not feel bad, but it's because you don't know what you're missing with one game in particular, and that's Resident Evil 2. So this is the game that kickstarted this whole idea for me, this whole feeling, and it's the first time in a long, long time that I've been like, man, it sucks that Nintendo doesn't get these types of games most of the time, because Resident Evil 2 is genuinely a great game, and it's going to be really hard for another game to top it in 2019. Like, to dethrone this, as I don't know when Doom Eternal is supposed to come out, but for me, just looking at the games confirmed for 2019, it's going to be damn near impossible for a game to dethrone Resident Evil 2 for me for Game of the Year 2019. That's how good this game is for me. And like I said, if you're a Switch-only owner and you're thinking, I don't care about that kind of stuff, you're missing out. Another huge game just released on yesterday, Kingdom Hearts 3. PS4, Xbox One, and I'm not sure if PC's out or coming out. A lot of people have been waiting for that. Yeah, we've never really had a Kingdom Hearts game on a Nintendo system except for something on the DS or 3DS. But again, the title like that, everybody even I would think everyone in Square knows that the Switch version would outsell the Xbox One version. It wouldn't even be a competition, and it would probably be close to the PS4 version in some regions. So there's obviously some reason the game didn't come, but what I'm saying is, just in this month alone, 2 Game of the Year potential games that aren't going to be on a Nintendo system yet. Kingdom Hearts 3 maybe gets ported, but where's Dragon Quest 11? That was one of the first games announced for the NX. We haven't even seen, I think we've seen, 2 screenshots of the Switch version. I really feel like they didn't even start the porting process until the PS4 localized version was done. I honestly believe, not to sound like Retro Death, but I honestly believe that's when they started porting the game to the Switch. So, hopes for a Kingdom Hearts 3 running on Unreal Engine on Switch. It's possible. Will it be this? If they decided to do it, it probably wouldn't even be out this year. It'd probably be next year this time or something. So for the first time in a long time, as a Nintendo fan, and it's almost always Nintendo systems, always my main console. For the first time that I can ever remember, I guess maybe on the Wii with like Dead Space and BioShock and first or second Assassin's Creed, I remember thinking this. And you might say, well, there's no reason Capcom doesn't bring Resident Evil 2 to the Switch, and really, there probably isn't. We've heard that the RE engine was ported and running, but you got to give Nintendo some blame for their choice, because if you look at Resident Evil Revelations 2 on the Switch, and we already talked about this file size of Resident Evil 2, but Resident Evil Revelations 2 is like 23.6 gigs to download. And so I don't know, Resident Evil 2 would probably, it's only 20 something on Xbox or PS4, but so I don't know, file size is definitely a concern for people, but I also think the visuals of Resident Evil 2, if you watch Digital Foundry's analysis of the Xbox One version, it's technically they think it's being upscaled to 1080p, but it still looks pretty good. Frame rate's takes some dips here and there. So the Switch version would have to have major sacrifices, but it really does suck that Switch only owners, if you don't have another option, don't get to play Resident Evil 2, don't get to play Kingdom Hearts 3. And probably the reason I never really got upset about this stuff is because I always had another system and I could buy the games. And, it's always been the way for me since the original Xbox came out. That was kind of where it started, where I started buying multi-plats and third-party games, that weren't coming to Nintendo systems. But it's just like the Switch and we've talked about this many times on many different podcasts. If Nintendo system ever got full third-party support plus their exclusives, a lot of people think it would be game over, especially for Microsoft, I think. And I do understand can't get every single game. I don't want it. Doesn't need every single game. Does the Switch need Just Cause 3 and 4? Does the Switch need Battlefield or PUBG? I don't honestly. I don't think so. Does it need Battlefields? Not really, in my opinion. I don't really care for those type of games. Um, doesn't need Call of Duty. It doesn't need it, but there's still a big enough fan base that I think it probably should. And Black Ops 4 is internet only. It's a online only experience now. I don't know if that was a factor. The file size is ridiculous, like 80 gigs or something on my Xbox One, and so I know there's limitations. So the reasons we're not getting some of these games could be hardware, power wise. It could just be file size issues. It could be bad blood with the publisher Nintendo because games flopped on the Wii U. There's a lot of reasons. So every single game kind of there's nuance to every single game. Could have a completely different reason. The reason Black Ops 4 isn't on the Switch could be the complete opposite of why Kingdom Hearts 3 isn't on the Switch. So it's just one of those things. I don't want Nintendo to be a third clone x86, 8 gigs RAM. I didn't want Nintendo to do that, just because I think if they had, the Switch wouldn't be doing what it's doing. It's pretty obvious that the portable side of it was the missing piece to like the Wii U, because in Japan they love portable systems. 3DS has always done well. The Vita did pretty well. The DS, all those Nintendo handhelds have always done great. So the Switch was guaranteed to be a success just based on all the handheld and portable fans out there that love Nintendo systems. There is a Dragon Quest XI Switch video. I haven't seen a video. I've seen a couple screenshots. But anyway, so the Switch had to do something different. I think if Nintendo just imagine the Switch minus the portable, so whatever the name would have been, let's say the NX, just a box, and it was basically the same specs as like Xbox One, maybe Xbox One or PS4, in between, and it had the same OS, the same lack of features, the same shit online, and didn't have that portable nature where I got 50-year-olds sitting around table at work in the lunchroom talking about Nintendo Switch. They wouldn't have been doing that if it was just a generic box, especially with the lack of features and options, that Nintendo gave it. So that would have been the way worse option. So, don't get me wrong, that would have been a terrible decision, I think, and it would have been it definitely wouldn't be taken off. So, I'm not one who plays in portable mode anymore. Don't find it very comfortable, and I don't take my Switch out as much as I used to, but I know there's people that live and die by the Switch in portable mode. So I understand that's its biggest draw, and that's why it's so successful. And it isn't damn impressive that games like Doom and Wolfenstein and whatever else run in portable mode so well. So with that in mind, there's probably Resident Evil 2 would look really good in portable mode and be an awesome experience on the go, but probably pretty lackluster on the TV. Same with Call of Duty. If it's a online only game and you're in portable mode, you have internet. Otherwise, there's nothing to do. So you can't. That one kind of, like I said, there's nuance to it. That could be an issue. That kind of needs to be, internet required type of game, and it even says it on the box, requires internet. So that could be that. But Kingdom Hearts 3 running on Unreal Engine with its art style, there's no doubt in my mind that game could run on the Switch, and they have the talent or the programming ability to make that run on the Switch. But why they didn't do it, I don't know. So other games that could be an issue would be like Red Dead Redemption 2. They could make a version that looks like GTA 5 did on the PS3, Xbox 360, probably, a little bit cleaner. They could have done that. It would have sold probably pretty well on the Switch. They have the staff. They could have worked them 50 hours, or not 50 hours, like 100 hours weeks to port that game. And it probably would have been worth it for them, but they didn't do it. We don't get the last Assassin's Creed unless you're in Japan. You could stream it, which I think Resident Evil 2 would probably be the next game that's going to be streamed in Japan. So it's just one of those things. It's kind of weird for me to talk about third-party games missing from Nintendo systems because I've never been a huge supporter of third-party games. I just buy the occasional really high quality ones that I just interest me, and I've always had something to play them on. I got, like I said, PC, Xbox One, and PS4. So when I was looking to buy Resident Evil 2, I had to weigh the options. All right, I want to play it with full surround sound, so that rules out the PC. I have a surround sound setup, but it's pretty lo-fi. There's no bass. I got a little subwoofer box, but there's not a lot of options for a 5.1 system on PC. So all right, PC's out. So Xbox One and PS4. Well, there's no online really, so I don't need my Xbox Live is not a factor. So I'm left with the controllers and the visuals and performance. Watched a video on the beta or the demo, and Xbox One is running 10 plus frames per second lower at all times on the Xbox One S because I don't have the X. If I had the X, I would have got it on that for sure. But so yeah, PS4 has the uncompressed audio, has the better visuals, the better frame rate, and so that was my choice. If it was launching on Switch as well, since I don't play in portable mode, I don't really think this would be a game that I'm going to be playing at work on a lunch break. I think you really want to play it in the dark. You don't want to be outside because the glare you wouldn't be able to see anything. I probably still would have got the PS4 version. So, it's one of those things. But still, looking at January, the Switch has New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, Travis Strikes Again, a new indie game from the Runbow team. And well, almost all of them are indie 2D platformers, and a couple quirky games, and then a couple old games, remasters of PS2 games coming to Switch. It's nothing but old games, and Travis Strikes Again is new, and a couple of the indie games, these 2D games, are new. Look at that versus Kingdom Hearts 3 and Resident Evil 2 Remake, and it's laughable. And it's really the next major game coming to the Switch is just March 29th with Yoshi's Crafted World. And I don't know what else comes out in February or March from third parties for PS4, Xbox One. Don't really know. So, but I just those Kingdom Hearts 3 and Resident Evil 2, just those two games, really, it's really embarrassing actually. But on the flip side, I didn't really mention it, is Nintendo systems get Nintendo's first party games, which for the most part are stellar games that, I'm sure Sony Xbox guys are jealous of, for maybe it's not every game, maybe they laugh at some, but there's definitely games, they're jealous of, like a Breath of the Wild or Smash Brothers or something along those lines. So the Nintendo system always has that advantage, and PS4 has some solid exclusives. Xbox One really missing. It gets the third-party games, but there's a better system out there for third-party games until now, with the X, if you want to spend $500. So, it really shows what happens when you don't have the exclusives and you have the lesser option for third-party games. Then that's Xbox One sales right there. So, you got to have a balance, and Nintendo's doesn't have balance. They have mostly first-party games, and then the third-party games are very light, very few and far between for top quality, especially major day-and-date releases. Massive, are you joking? Resident Evil 2, a PS2 game? No, it's brand new. It's a brand new remake, built on the Resident Evil 7 engine. Doesn't follow the original game to a T. It's for all intents and purposes, it's a new game, um, with the the foundation being inspiration for the new game. But yeah, it's not like a Shadow of the Colossus, just make the exact game but different visuals, or a Crash Bandicoot, make the exact games but with new visuals. This is a new game in almost every way. So, damn it, I lost track of what I was saying too. Shit, I knew I was kind of in the middle of something. Revelations is on the Switch. It looks okay. I wouldn't say it looks good. It looks like a PS3 game, um, on the Switch. But they could make Resident Evil 2 on there. There's no doubt. What's the cost? I don't know. Oh, that's the point I was making. So even if you get, and that's kind of the big kicker, even if they got Resident Evil 2 or Kingdom Hearts 3. Kingdom Hearts 3, I haven't seen enough of that game to know really what it looks like visually, but you still have people like me who are going to have to decide which version to get based on all the factors. And for Resident Evil 2, I'm still getting the PS4 version. For Kingdom Hearts, I'm sure a lot of Nintendo fans would get it on the Switch because that's probably a grindy RPG game where you're going to have to spend a lot of time. Portable mode could come into play. I don't think too many people are going to be playing Resident Evil 2 in portable mode, but so there's still like people would have to choose, and PS4 version would probably outsell the Switch, obviously with the install base. That's a factor, but the fact that they're not there and there's not even the option for most of these games. I mean, when was the last major third-party game to release on the Switch? What was the last one? Starlink was day and date. I wouldn't call that major. It's a new game, and it kind of feels like a pretty, smaller budget title for Ubisoft. That's the last like day and date game we got. And then we had FIFA and NBA. No, I'm talking about day and date, like new games. I'm not talking about 6-year-old games that came to Switch. No, the last like new major like third party title. I think Starlink obviously is the one, and then they got the sports titles. But other than those three, Wolfenstein, yeah, it came 6, 7, 8 months later. I mean, yeah, it was a new game, or it was a current gen game, but came 7, 8 months later. So, it's like this stuff needs to stop. With Mortal Kombat 11, there's already question of, is that coming out day and date? Remember Dark Souls Remastered? That came out like 5 months later. So even if you wanted the Switch version, are you willing to wait? Let's say you're a huge Wolfenstein fan, you have a PS4, an Xbox, and a Switch, and they're like, "Oh, it's Wolfenstein 2 is coming sometime next year," and then you got to wait like 7, 8 months to play the game, and with the downgrades. So it's, even if they're day and date, it's still going to be kind of a question for some people. So, and maybe the third parties and publishers, maybe they factor in this stuff, and it's not just about power. I think the file size, the cartridge size, is probably the single biggest reason a lot of these games didn't come and haven't been coming. I don't think, in a percentage scale, I don't think it's a high percentage. I think it'd have the biggest percentage of the reason, if anyone actually gave honest like reasons why they didn't bring games. So yeah, it's just a weird thing, with the Switch being so popular, and add on to that, in my opinion, a really lackluster 2018 from Nintendo from a first party standpoint, and some major third party games could have really helped that situation. Got a bunch of old games, a bunch of old ports, a bunch of late ports, a bunch of indie games, a bunch of old games came out last year. And for a lot of people that filled their lineup enough. Yeah, visor ground. I don't know if RAM that really affects texture quality. So I guess, but you still have to have the GPU and CPU to push those higher res textures. Um, yeah, like if you're like me, Grimpachi, I don't play in portable mode hardly ever anymore. It's just not comfortable. Um, most of the games I play aren't like play for 20 minutes type of games where I want to put at least an hour plus into a game. So the Switch is definitely the least attractive option. But that being said, Doom on the Switch is still the best console version in my opinion because of the gyro aiming. That to me is enough of a game changer versus high res textures. And Doom plays really well. It plays fast. A few little frame rate drops in a couple areas. Other than that, it's pretty solid throughout. Has all the lighting and all the shadow of the original game, just lower quality resolution and textures. But the gyro aiming really, to me, makes that the best console version. Now you get the gyro aiming or keyboard and mouse on PC, but so there's still a few. Like I said, every game to me it's a nuanced thing. There's no line to draw. There's no rule for that applies to every game. Every game has a different set of things you have to look at. And Retro Death said he played Starlink in bed. I played that in portable mode while the NFL playoffs were on, and I never want to play that game in portable mode ever again because the fucking analog sticks on the Joy-Cons and Starlink do not go together. I couldn't aim. I couldn't do shit. It was the worst experience I've had playing a game in portable mode in a very long time. The other would be playing Celeste because of the location in portable mode of the quote unquote D-pad. It's too low. It's not comfortable. So I was playing with the Joy-Con analog sticks, which are barely analog sticks. And every time I tried to go up, I'd go over. Every time I tried to go over, I'd go up or down. And it was just fucking terrible. All right, so I'll just read some comments and any questions here. When this from Visor Grunt, when games like Fortnite, as simple as it is, has to disable video playback because they run out of memory, then I can only imagine the troubles bigger games run into. Yeah, I'm not sure the actual technical reason for video playback, but Doom just added it, and the game actually looks and runs better, and they added video playback, so I'm not sure exactly what that does. If that would be RAM or somehow blocks off some of the internal memory, I'm not sure, but RAM probably makes the most sense. Smash doesn't use the video playback, and it's only 30 seconds, and Rocket League uses it, but it's the lowest quality of any game I've seen. It's terrible. But Starlink uses it. Starlink looks great, and the video captures of Starlink look really good. It's probably the best one. So, and I think Fortnite, I don't think it's a option of RAM. I think it's they just don't want to do it because if Doom can do it, if Starlink can do it, I don't know why Fortnite, unless it's something to do with all the online streaming and all that, everything going on. I'm not sure, but Starlink has for the Switch has pretty good audio, has really good visuals, and like I said, the video playback is the highest quality I've seen for video playback on the Switch. So. Yeah, you just ordered the Pro Controller, Grimpachi. Good choice. I suck. I mean, it sucks that it's so expensive. I seen it for as low as 55 or 60 before the new year. But it's a great controller. I just wish it had analog triggers for potential racing games down the road. Travis Strikes Again, you can't record. That's just Suda 51 had a small team. I don't think they have the talent and didn't have the time to fully make that game that they wanted. But it makes no sense on a technical level why that doesn't use the video capture. So yeah, it's just one of those things, man. It's like, can't believe I'm saying why aren't these third-party games coming to Nintendo system? I know there's a history of it, and I wasn't expecting it. But with the Switch's sales and with one amazing game, and Kingdom Hearts 3 seems to be really well received. It really does stand out to me. Like, Nintendo has a successful system, and it runs the engine for Kingdom Hearts 3, and apparently Resident Evil engine they were going to work on or port, and I thought it was working, but maybe not. Why aren't these games coming? I'm 100% confident Grand Theft Auto 6 will never be on the Switch, ever. When that gets announced, and that's either a late gen PS4, Xbox One game, or it's an early PS5, Xbox, whatever game, there's no way that'll ever be on a Nintendo system. I don't care about Grand Theft Auto, but Grand Theft Auto 5 is one of the, if not the biggest selling game of all time. It was on last gen hardware. There's absolutely no reason it's not on the Switch from a technical standpoint. Game's still selling. It just makes no goddamn reason other than Rockstar or whoever, 2K. They don't want to for whatever reason. But SK Massive, we understand Switch will not be getting a lot of third-party games before it came out, but some of us still enjoy what we get, and with portable mode, which is surprisingly a main feature for me. Yeah, I mean, the ones we've gotten, there's been some surprises like Doom and Wolfenstein, now Doom Eternal, Mortal Kombat 11, if that comes out, anytime around the launch of the other versions. I'd never expected those games to ever come to the Switch when we first saw it. So the fact that they are is definitely exceeding my expectations. But now that we're getting those games, it's like, what's that expression? Give an inch and people take a mile. You give us an inch, you give us a few third-party, current gen games, and now you got someone like me thinking we should be getting more. And I don't really think there's an argument against it. And there's room in Nintendo's release schedule for these games because Nintendo's been pretty light, having to resort to old, ports of Wii U games and shit. And I think some big third-party games could have really helped. And yeah, so again, feels weird for me even saying that. It's not so easy to make a Switch version from a game. Kingdom Hearts was years in development. Yeah, but it started development on PS3. They had to change. They pretty much took the director, and he was making two games at once. Said, no, you make this game, then you make Kingdom Hearts 3, whatever. It was Final Fantasy 15. Ports can happen while a game's being developed. I don't understand. To me, it doesn't matter how long it's been in development. It's an Unreal Engine 4 game. What does it matter if it's been in development for 5 years or 2 years? The Switch running Unreal Engine 4 native. It's just a question of porting it. It has nothing to do with how long the game's been in development. I've never understood that argument. If that's the case, then why did PS3 and Xbox 360 games always come out day and date? Because they developed it for the 360. They ported it to PS3 at the same time. They could have been, Kingdom Hearts 3 porting process could have started 2 years ago. All right, so Grimpachi, I think for some people like me, I view a game I never played no different than a recent release. So older games are old, but new for me, like Vesperia, never played it, so new experience for me. Yeah, that's a question for you. It's a new game. Like someone was trying to make a point about Resident Evil 2 being a PS2 game. If this would have been just identical to the original, but with high-res backgrounds and stuff, yeah, it would have been new to me because I never played it. But it's not, doesn't make it a new game. It just means it makes it new to you. It's like New Super Mario Brothers U Deluxe. That's not a new game. You might never played it, but it's new. If you're playing it on Switch, it's new to you. It's not a new game. It's a 6-year-old game. It's just a 6-year-old game that's been ported. There's new parts to it. There's a Toadette or whatever, Peachette. It's your easy mode. Can't die character like Funky Kong, and like Nabbit's playable or something. There's some tiny new elements, but it's not a new game. If the Switch 2 comes out, let's say in 4 years, and launch title game is New Super Mario Brothers U Deluxe 4K, it's not a new game. I don't care if you never played it. It's not a new game. Yeah, optimization and compression are problems. That's true, but like I said, they could be porting the game while it's being developed, and games like Doom and Warframe and Wolfenstein. I mean, those are, trying to think of what Warframe's engine is. I can't remember, but those are all done by Panic Button. Trying to think of another game that wasn't done by Panic Button. That was a port. Nothing like Crash, Insane Trilogy, whatever. They have the ability. It's just, do they want to, for whatever reason, spend the money and the resources? And maybe some teams just can't figure it out. Maybe they can't get the frame rate good enough. Maybe they're not willing to have the texture quality be below low on PC settings. Maybe they're just not willing to do that. Who was it? Blizzard said Overwatch probably 2 years ago. They said it probably wouldn't come to Switch because they're not going to sacrifice. They have a hard, like, no tolerance for anything under 60 frames per second. That's what they want. So to run on Switch, Overwatch, even though Paladins runs at 60, maybe they're just not willing to make the sacrifices from a principle standpoint. Like, hey, we don't want to put this product out like Evolve. What was it? Is it called Evolve? Yeah, I think it's Evolve. That's what happens when you have a poorly optimized game come out on a system, but it was poorly optimized on PS4, Xbox One, even Xbox One X. It runs like shit. So if a game runs well and a studio is talented, and game runs well on PS4, Xbox One, then it can run well on the Switch. It's just just a question of doing it. And with the sales of these games, I don't know why there's not more doing it. So I think some of the more interesting things for this year is going to be Mortal Kombat 11. If it's day and date. If it's not, maybe hopefully it's not more than a month later, but whatever. It's going to be real interesting to see a late PS4, Xbox One game that, just like with Doom Eternal, because the games we're getting now, like Resident Evil 2, compare it to launch titles on PS4, even the first year. God of War compared to Killzone, like visually, it's like they're two different systems. So it's going to be real interesting for me to see what Mortal Kombat 11 can do, being a late generation game, ported to Switch, and then Doom Eternal probably the most, I would say, interesting, because from what we've seen of that game, the environments are way larger scale. Not everything's just black and darkness, and it seemed like you could see a lot further, and there's a lot more visual things happening. So it's gonna be real interesting to see what they do, and will that be a day and date? They want it to be, and we don't even know the release date, but I think it's gonna be really interesting to see those two games, especially late gen PS4, Xbox One games on the Switch, and then we'll see if any other studios follow suit. So anyway, that's it for this one. Been on for a minute, and I appreciate everybody for tuning in. And yeah, I'm probably gonna play some video games now. Picked up a little Piranha Plant. Downloaded that for Smash last night and did the classic mode. And it's a pretty good character. Apparently there's a bug if you play like all-star mode with him and a couple other characters. It corrupts your save data, but only because I've seen multiple sources report it, and because of the nature of the potential what this could do for it, screw you over, because I don't know if cloud saves would fix that if it uploads a corrupted cloud save. I don't know. So I will. Oh, Ark. Yeah, Ark's the game I was talking about. What did I say? Evolve? Yeah, it was Ark Combat Evolved or whatever. I forget the full title, but yeah, Ark. Ark was the game. But anyway, just a warning, because even if it's a rumor or anything, if it's potentially corrupting your save file, I will report and talk about rumors or something, unconfirmed stuff. Apparently, don't play Piranha Plant on the All-Star mode on Smash Brothers because it could corrupt your save data. So, but anyway, that's it for this one. Thanks for everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.